Thanks for staying with us. Let's now reflect on one of our top stories. Police Minister Bheki Cele says he has a team investigating the claims into the death of Thabo Bester, who has been dubbed the Facebook rapist. It comes after Bester was apparently spotted in Sandton, months after his alleged death. In May last year, the department had released a statement confirming his death in custody at the Mangaung Correctional Center following a fire in a single cell allocated to him. Let's now get some response with Singabakho Nxumalo, who's the Correctional Services Spokesperson. Very good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining us. Perhaps let's start off with your reaction in the wake of all the claims that Thabo Bester was spotted in Sandton.
A very good evening and thank you for having us. As a department, we issued a statement clarifying that we have seen media reports purporting to have been sourced from a number of people, but as a department, there is an investigation which is ongoing and that has not been finalized, thus making it difficult for us to really be drawn into whatever is happening out there to say we need to comment. We are saying it is ill-advised for some pushing that we need to say something because we are not informed of any particular evidence before us up until such time that that investigation has been concluded or at least having an autopsy report. But we need something which will then say to us, this is what happened. Thereafter, we can have something to say on this particular matter.
So when you released a statement in May, perhaps let's go back a bit. In May last year, releasing the statement confirming that Thabo Bester had died in custody in a single cell after a fire. What had led to that point?
Okay. How we work in correctional services is that for every incident that happens, we have to be informed within 15 minutes. And then thereafter, we'll gather additional information. And if a matter pertains to someone with an elevated public profile, then there is a need then to inform the public. What happened in this particular case, we received a report from that private facility to say a cell that was allocated to Mr. Bester was on fire and he was found on the floor and his body burnt and was confirmed to have died. Therefore, we had to confirm when media inquiries came before us to say we've received such reports. Indeed, we confirmed because their family had also been notified of that particular incident. But then for every unnatural death, it has to be investigated unless it's natural. So here, if someone dies of fire, that is unnatural. So that you can determine exactly what is the cause of death. Was the person dead before that fire or was that person killed by the actual fire? Hence, then we responded to those inquiries. But because there was a big demand, we ended up having to issue an alert confirming that an incident of that nature had happened.
So you're saying that up until now, from May of last year, you still don't have the autopsy which would point and give you confidence to say that, no, it's not possible that Thabo Bester is indeed the man spotted in Sandton?
Unfortunately, we don't have an autopsy report, and this is not unique. We have a number of other cases where you find that it takes a bit of time for those reports to come back before us. You find that the death certificate will indicate that an investigation is ongoing to determine that cause of death. But unfortunately, it does take a bit of time in a number of cases. You will know that it is not us who conduct these particular examinations. We have then to send the bodies to forensic pathology services who will then do that examination, do whatever assessment, and then give us a report. And if there is a padlock there, or if there are certain issues that they still have to, take for further assessment, unfortunately, you cannot then interfere with that particular process. But sadly so, it does take a bit of time.
What's happening now, what we're talking about here, really just brings a sense of mistrust now between the public and correctional services when it comes to a very, very important matter. I mean, this man was dubbed the Facebook rapist, and there's a possibility that he could still be, living, alive, walking free, and again, repeating his crimes. I mean, that in itself is showing mistrust. Where and how should the public be interpreting this?
As I've said, that this is an unnatural death case. We couldn't, bypass the process and say, give us the cause of death and let us then close the issue. We had to report the matter to the SAPS for them to do a thorough investigation in case there is foul play or there is any criminal element, or it's simply a case of someone burning in that cell. But then we also needed to know what caused that particular fire. So that investigation has not been concluded. And even I watched the Minister of Police today also confirming that that investigation is still ongoing. So unfortunately, then we can't go out there and say this is what we have when the matter has not been concluded. Hence, we have pressed once more with the investigation team to say they have to move with necessary speed. This is a matter of public interest. We are also worried about the victims of crime and even the general public out there to say, is this man alive? Is he dead? What's happening here? I think all of us are concerned to say this matter has to be finalized so that we all know what is really happening here. So as a department, we do take it quite seriously, but we are pleading with a bit of time, for this investigation to be concluded so that all of us talk from an informed position. Because right now, all you hear is reports from this source, reports from the other source. As a result, then it may cause unnecessary damage to the public to a point where they wouldn't even know who to trust and who to listen to. So as a department, it's important that we really work with the team to say, please conclude the investigation.
So with an investigation not concluded, why then release the statement in May last year saying and confirming his death?
What we received at that time was that there has been fire in a particular cell allocated to a specific inmate, and that inmate was found dead. And that's what we then communicated. And we have not changed from that specific position until such time that new information may come to the fore, or it remains so. But what we clarified today was to say, let us not be drawn into all these speculations, all these reports making rounds, where people are saying we've received the following, where this man has been spotted, so we're saying give us space until such time that we receive a report from the investigating team. From there, we'll talk from an informed position in terms of what has been found by the investigating team. I think that has to be clear.
Yeah. And the scope of the investigation, do you think that now what is under investigation are two cases, an investigation on top of an investigation, because of the information that was communicated and conveyed leading to the statement released in May, and now what we're facing and the possibilities of how the statement could have been written without the investigation being concluded?
Okay, perhaps I may need to clarify this once more. What we relayed to the public in May of 2022 was a report saying that an inmate has been found dead, and in that cell it was the one allocated to Mr. Bester, and we issued that. And we had no reasons to doubt it or to look at us, because if a cell is allocated to Singabakho and it's a single cell and you find a person dead, yes, and you cannot identify that person because the body was severely damaged, then it's information that we had at the time, and we have not changed from that. But because it is an unnatural death, it has to be investigated to check, one, what was the cause of death, two, what caused that that fire on that particular morning. Three, the autopsy report has to then tell us exactly what may have happened. And we don't have this autopsy report. We don't have this investigation report. Hence, then as a department, we are saying, up until such time that we've got all these facts in front of us, then we can then convey to say, this is what has happened. But for now, all we see are just reports from these unidentified sources. And as a department, we can't really, confirm nor deny things from such sources which are not official.
So very lastly, with the details still quite sketchy, are you saying that police will also be looking at whether or not there has been foul play?
The investigation will make its findings. I wouldn't want to predict to say perhaps it will go this route or this route. It will be based on facts and to say what is the data they managed to find. To say we investigated this particular case and this is what we've managed to find. One, the autopsy report will determine exactly what was the cause of death. If they had to take DNA samples, they will also say in that report what was the specific outcome. And now there are questions about the identity, who is this person. So the investigation team they will have to give us all the necessary details so that when we table this report, it covers all angles. Remember, this is a full-scale investigation. And that will also assist them to put this matter to bed, because we fully understand there's an issue of public interest and there are so many people who want to know what really happened here. So even for us as a department, it's important that all these areas then are cleared out so that when we put this report out there, everyone can see to say, okay, it started here and it ended here. Right now, what we've said on the 3rd of May 2022 remains as such until such time that something new emerges somewhere.
Very well. Thank you so much. Let's perhaps leave it there for now. Singabakho Nxumalo, the Correctional Services Spokesperson, speaking there about the claims over the death of Thabo Bester. After he was apparently spotted in Sandton, Johannesburg a few months ago, the man dubbed the Facebook rapist.